Well, is this the update of all updates? Update 1.010, something we've been asking for, well, Christ. Game came out 16th of June. It is now 23rd of September, so 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. Crazy. 3 months to implement a lot of balance changes, a lot of actual significant changes, but also some features that, let's be real, we should have had from the start, especially when you're paying so much for a game. I wonder how the reviews are going to change based off this long-awaited crucial update. Now, I know a lot of people are very interested in hearing what it is, and the problem is this document, when you copy and paste it into a Google Word document, it comes up as 17 pages. So my aim, is to quickly give you a summary, a really quick summary, then a longer one, a longer deep dive into the changes and my opinions on them and how I expect that they might affect the game. So without further ado, I've already taken the liberty of making, this is still a page of my quick, most important changes on here, which I'll pop up on the screen for you to pause and read at your leisure. These are the changes that I think are the biggest from the game. So for example, obviously the penalty for deserters and surrender option are obviously well overdue, but very welcome changes. In fact, I can't wait to jump into battle with those. Yeah, literally, this is all copy and pasted from this page. Lots of little changes here, but like I said, if you want to read my sort of short summary of changes, you know what? I'll even copy and paste this in the description for you fine viewers of this channel. So yeah, huge update, a lot to dissect. Let us talk in detail about it. So, like we've already said, cool that you put these quotes, but dude, if you had time to write all of this, why didn't you just put this in earlier? But thank God we finally got a penalty for deserters. But let's just have a quick closer look. The actual penalty for deserters, when we break it down, is here. But the first leave is 2 minutes, so actually shorter than the current deserting time. For the second leave, it's 5, 15 for third, and so on. The thing is, these penalties, are they that high? Let's be real, I do not think so, because this is penalty progression is within 24 hours. So if you just don't play the game for 1 day, this resets. And whilst that's good, you know, that you finally got this feature in, I really don't think this is enough. This is definitely not enough to deter people deserting. Say you're adamant that you want a Russia versus America, you get a Russia mirror match, you desert, you have to wait less than the current time. So yeah, this is an easy penalty to take that any day, right? 5 minutes for the second time, again, it's what it is now, people don't care, it clearly hasn't stopped people right now, so 5 minutes is nowhere near enough. Bear in mind that everybody can do this, 10 players can do this, and the probability of people taking advantage of this very low penalty, I think, is still pretty high. You're going to have people take the piss, aren't you? 15 minutes for the third leave. Go quickly to the toilet, make yourself a drink and a sandwich, you're back in the game for the third time. Half an hour, you just, I don't know, go for a walk, go play some sport, go to the gym, whatever. Do you see my point? My point is these are very, very relaxed rules. If it were up to me, I'd scale these up way higher and, way harsher. I do really hope. They said they will, if these values are ineffective or too harsh, we will tweak them. So I should note that it's been 6 days since they said update coming out soon. So let's just call it a week. So soon in Broken Arrow terms is a week. So if they do say we need to tweak them, simply, where is it? Here it is. I hope it'll be sooner rather than later, because the game is bleeding, and maybe this is going to be the bandage that the game so desperately needs. Surrender option, huzzah! We've been teased with this before, and you know what, like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago was it, the previous update? You know what, let me find out for you. Yep, so it was actually 2 weeks ago that they, kept promising all the blah 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 FLX. There they go. I hope I get an interview with him, with Felix. Right, yeah. The actual time that we were promised the surrender button was July. Look at that. What's the date? 30. Okay, let's call it start of August for fairness, you know, just still 2 months ago, right? How really frustrating that it still took so bloody long. Yeah, so 2 months ago we were teased with this surrender button, and it is finally here. There is no dishonor in retreating to fight another day, son. Not sure that Russians would say that. Russians would say, don't you dare surrender or desert, you loser, right? That is the Russian mentality, so maybe you should have switched the American and the Russian general on that one. Русские не сдаются is a famous Russian saying, and that just means Russians never surrender. I mean, obviously not true. There are examples in history of Russian forces surrendering, of course, but yeah, it doesn't seem like it's their kind of cup of tea. Anti-cheat, yeah, whatever. They're improving it. Well, nobody cares. It's still, you know, let's be real. It is. This is a hard thing to implement. I haven't seen too much cheating personally, to be fair. This is one of the sort of least important issues, but I'm glad they're working on it, and I do appreciate that. Obviously, yeah, if you do see cheating, get a recording, stick it to BA support, right? Fair play. This is actually what I should have put up at the start, and you know what? Let me edit this back in. The quick summary. New models, that's cool, but yeah, for an RTS, it's not my priority. My priority is these things, like the balance improvement, anti-cheat, which is, again, fantastic, but I didn't think it was too terrible beforehand, and the new features. Right. Cute little picture, not that much detail in it. We're going to look at more of the detail down below. So yeah, surrendered feature. Cool. It's good that you have to have a solid majority, 4 players, 3 players, 2 players, etc. Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that. 30 seconds, bit like CSGO, solid. I really hope people start using this and not just, you know, wasting everybody's time when it's a done deal. But I also hope, I'm glad that it's 4 votes, you know, an overwhelming majority, because, yeah, you'll get that one guy who is always just like, no, I'm going to fight to the end, even when it's a losing battle. But at the same time, you get those people who are very quick to want to surrender, and they just say stuff like, you know, like, oh, I've lost my intro, that's it, surrender. No, obviously you need the 4 votes, which is good. 5-minute cooldown, that means 5 times 9? 5 times 9, so you can try and surrender 9 times during a game. Good. Although I really don't see that happening too much. Now, we talk about the other new features. So, what I'm actually really happy about is the laser, sorry, pardon my broken English, broken arrow. The laser designation is going to keep track of the target. That is really brilliant, because it's frustrating, really frustrating, when you have laser lock from a sniper or whatever onto a unit, it loses it for a millisecond, and that's it. You lose your lock, you miss your bombs. So this memory is brilliant. I actually didn't think they were going to implement this for a while. I thought, you know, these issues were going to be the focus of this update, but no, I'm glad it's actually come along here as well. Good on you, Steel Balalaika, Slytherin, whatever. Yeah, so that is fantastic. I'm really glad that there's going to be a bit less micro there. The laser designation order can be given out to units out of range or behind an obstacle. So again, that is a fantastic, because again, if you're just 1 meter out and, you know, it moves, that's another bit of less micro for you to do. Let me just remind myself, I've read through this twice, but it's so much text. Like, literally, like I said, 17 pages in a Word document if you were to copy and paste this. Now, yeah, this one is fantastic, because I've been doing this. So if you watch my videos, you've obviously probably seen me do this. I like to drop my troops off and then drag it either to a building or a forest. And I always do this by default. Now, when you drag it to a building currently, the troops will run into the building. This has not changed. That's great. But if you drag them into a forest, they will just stay still at the drop-off site. They won't run to the forest that you want them to run to, which is really annoying, and I'm really glad they fixed it. Again, it's just a good nicety of life. So yeah, I'm full of optimism for this update, actually. Good stuff. I really hope the player base will kick up. Let's see if it will though. Steam DB, Broken Arrow. Is it enough time to update? Probably not. I mean, let's have a look. We are projected to have more players, but no more than usual. Bear in mind, I'm recording this at 4 o'clock English time. Usually we see the spikes in the evenings, and especially the American evenings, because obviously a lot of players are from the US of A, baby. Hello, my American viewers. Aloha. Now, the general fixes and improvements. So, yes, okay. You will still be a deserter if you know, wink, wink, disconnect, or try to pretend that. You're still a deserter, and as we always keep saying, deserters deserve to be shot. A lot of fixes. Let me remind myself of my notes. I don't think there's anything else in this little fix that I really care about too much. I suppose fixing an issue with this just made me laugh. I've never seen this before, but apparently guided shells can just orbit buildings, like, you know, like a planet orbiting the sun, which is a laser disco ball party. Pretty funny. Haven't ever seen this myself, but yeah, these issues, again, I'm going to try and keep this a short summary, even though there is a lot to unfold, so feel free to read the really, really long bits for yourself. Right, nothing else particularly interesting, in my opinion, in this. Various little tweaks and fixes, apart from, yeah, the Fletcher missile do have proper smoke trails. Nice. Finally. Oh yeah, and the 4th camo for the Su-30. I've noticed that before, where actually, you know what, let's find an Su-30. Which deck do I have it in? Ooh, only one deck. The Marine deck has been vastly buffed, which I will talk about in a second, but let me get to that. First, I wanted to say tanks VDV. Oh, it's unfavorited. Okay. Not sure if Special Forces Armored is going to be my favorite spec either. Su-30. Lovely skin. It used to be that this and the specialization skin were identical. Let's have a look at it now. Ooh. Jazzy. Very jazzy. Let me hide the hood for you so you can get a good little look at it. That is pretty beautiful. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like that. I don't know if it's realistic or not. I've never seen this paint scheme on Russian planes, but that's pretty fit. Right. Okay. So yeah, brilliant stuff there. The KC-130, as in. Never mind. Right. Okay. Cool. That is fine. The balance. Now, this is a juicy little part where. I think they've miswritten this, by the way. I think this is meant to be from 1.08 to 1.09. So 1.09 accidentally, it wasn't intentional, buffed Russia from a 49-51% rate, so basically 50-50, to 47-54 when you round it up. Okay, I know that doesn't add up. Okay, 46.5 to 53.5, which 51-49 was insignificant. This is. So yeah, Russian forces have been winning more. Now, it does say that in the highest elo, aka above 2000, that the win rate is still pretty much 50-50. So I do wonder whether just more Russian players who are better at the game, like, you know, what the distribution of high elos below 2000 is, and whether, again, whether there's just more experienced Russia players at the lower elos. Let's be real, like myself, whilst I do play America, Russia close to 50-50, or I try to, when I put out recordings of my best games, they tend to be Russian. So I do tend to win with Russia a bit more, and I've noticed that myself. And they talk about Russia Coastal, which is, Guards Coastal. There we go, Guard tanks and Russian Coastal, which is previously one of the least used combinations, but now is the most used. I don't think, personally, that that's a 1.09 feature. I think that is because people have just, through time and experience, learned that this in itself is one of the best combinations for Russia in the game. Because you literally get fantastic infantry, fantastic armor, and fantastic support. You really, you really can't complain. The only thing that I miss from this deck is Kamaz VDV, because they are speedy, super good, effing tastic little transports that I love using all the time. Okay, so this aside, I think everybody should try this, by the way, if you haven't already, but most people were using Guards VDV, Moto guards, you know, all those combinations that this was just sort of overlooked in the infancy of the game. Whereas now it's 3 months in and people realize that this is the best couple of factions specializations. The US Armored SOF Battle Group was by far ahead of all other options. And I think, again, the reason it has lost its popularity is because people are bored of it. People want to try some other stuff. This is the meta, or was the meta, by a long shot. I don't know what the new meta is going to be. It'd be interesting to find out when I try and balance some of these decks that I have. I even created a test battle group, Marine Special Forces, which I think could be the new absolute win. Especially because what I was lacking in this deck was long-range air defense. The Marines didn't have anything, they just had the Lavs, and that's it. But the Patriot Pack 2, look at that. 4 missiles, bam, 200 points. Absolutely am I going to stick one in, and I'll even sacrifice a couple of Lav Ls just to keep my Patriot in here. So yeah, absolutely, this is definitely what I was missing from the deck. A long-range air defense, or at least a medium-range air defense, and I'm very glad, forgive me, to have this vehicle in. It's funny that the camouflage is still the armored logo. Pretty interesting, but yeah, clearly this is now a marine vehicle, and marines are much more appealing. Let us talk about that a bit more. Right. Was there anything else to talk about this? Again, so yeah, this was losing its popularity just because people were getting bored of playing the same faction, the same deck over and over again, which is why, like myself included, I thought that this deck, this deck, You Sneaky, was my favorite deck by a mile. Now that they've changed it up a little bit, I don't have my pack 2 in here anymore, I don't know if it is. I don't know if it still will be. It's still obviously a very formidable deck, but maybe not as good as it used to be. And yeah, this is a test, which is why I've got 6 M60s with the derp gun on it. Look at this beautiful vehicle. I absolutely love this one. Honestly, highly recommend. You get 6 of those in a town, in a building, in an urban environment. They will shred all the infantry, all the light armor in its tracks. It one-shots most things. 17 damage. That's huge. Yeah. Beautiful vehicles. I actually love them. They're so funny. Slow, but once they do arrive, they are great fun to use. Back on target, we are talking about this. Right. The KH-32, so the huge missiles. Let's have a look. Where's my Russian cruise missiles? Well, they're in the hard thrust woof deck. Here they are. KH-32s. It's these massive, absolutely massive cruise missiles. Look at them, ginormous, rapid as well. So before, they used to behave like all cruise missiles in the game. Low altitude straight away and hit the target with devastating effect, because that is a huge amount of damage. They're also a rapido, 1800. I think 2000 is the cutoff where missiles become uninterceptable. So they're very close to being uninterceptable, not quite. Most of the time, 2, if not 3 of these get through enemy air defense, or at least one. At least one will almost definitely make it, depending on how far back you fire these things. But now they're going to fly high altitude, I am led to believe. Yep, high altitude before diving on its targets like it does in reality. If that's the real thing, fair play. That is how they should be. These things are getting absolutely used and abused. Everybody uses these missiles when you play against Russia. The spam is borderline. It's just insufferable, isn't it? It's so painful when you keep getting battered by these things. It is really hard to play against, and it doesn't make the game as fun. So myself, personally, I'm in general of support becoming less of a good option. For example, the Scanders, as you see, I don't have them in the deck because fuck support players. But yeah, they haven't done anything to the Iskander. Unfortunately, that is a big shame. I am sorry to tell you those news. But the Iskander has, I mean, I think its reload is way too quick. Aim time is this. The supply, it doesn't actually say the reload time. I swear it's like, I can't remember top of my head, but is it like a minute to resupply all 4 of them? Yeah, nowhere near long enough. We need that to be way longer because I am sick of cruise missile spam. It really annoys me. for a tactical game. Is that a tactic? Just bombing everything? It's definitely a valid tactic, but it's just boring, mate. It makes for a very boring game. So I am absolutely fine from these. Yeah, for this little nerf. KH-29 missiles, they're the ones on the Catrans. Again, I don't have any in this deck. Here they are. Oh, KH-35. Okay, what's the KH-29? That's my mistake. I am not sure. I thought I had that one locked down. KH-29, is that the SU-30 then? Must be, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, KH-29. I absolutely love these missiles. I always, you know, scout my targets, mark them on the map first, and then fire these in advance. So that change isn't going to affect me, but it clearly affects some people who blind fire against SAM sites, which I agree. Yeah, fair enough. I respect this change. They rapid fire. They literally chain fire like a little machine gun anyway. So yeah. That's very, very true. These still are uninterceptable as I understand it. So yeah, still use them, still love the SU-30, doesn't affect my use of them at all. Not insignificant change. Now what is a really significant change is the reload time being reduced dramatically, more than halved, right? So yeah, these all SHORAD now reloads quicker, which is fantastic. This one is quicker as well. So yeah, every SHORAD is going to be quicker, which I think is great. I prefer people to being more dependent on SHORAD as opposed to just, you know, a classic net of Patriots and what's the PVADs to shoot down the cruise missiles that come towards the Patriots. So yeah, absolutely happy with this change. I'm glad more people are definitely going to be using SHORAD as a result, because that reload time is just super quick. Especially the double igglers and the quad igglers as well. Now, here's one of the best changes, and you guys might think that I'm biased for Russian. I'm not at all. I just love the game, and yeah, I do prefer playing with Russian units because I just think the variety is much better. But now that this balance has come in, I am definitely going to be using Marines a lot more, and yeah, for many, many reasons. Especially the amount of helicopters you can get in the Marine Special Forces deck. You know, you can treat Marines as a Special Forces support group. If you think of it that way, it works really well. Like, your Special Forces are your main objective, but the Marines being supporting of them works really, really well. That's a good mentality and a pro tip from Lima for you fine people here today. Now, right, M830 shells are from the Abrams. So yeah, well, yeah, as they've written here. So all the different Abrams and the M8 Thunderbolt. Essentially, they've increased the penetration and they've increased the damage. You know what? I am 100% in support of that. Because, well, as they've written themselves, it is really, really annoying when either a Humvee or a Typhoon or a BMP, which is I think what this is mainly targeted at, when they get hit by tank shells, and it takes 3 to kill it. Incredibly frustrating. Very, very stupid as well. 2 hits should be more than enough, you know, because they are lightly armored vehicles, IFVs, etc. So yeah, big fan of this change. The thing is, it hasn't changed the rushes, so they've increased it to 10. Okay, so the damage from the heat shell is being increased to 10. What is it for Russia? Let's remind ourselves on the Russian heat rounds. Okay, so that is an HE shell, 12, 9. Okay, that's annoying because maybe Humvees, well, Humvees are low health, but I wonder if other things like Strikers, you know, if they've buffed the Americans, they should buff the Russian tanks. A tank shell is still a tank shell. What is the caliber? Remind me, 125. So it's actually bigger than an Abrams is 120. These shells are bigger, only just, granted, than the American shells. They should be buffed to 10 as well. Because, like I said, a Humvee taking 2 hits, or, for example, maybe a Lav. Let's have a look at what is a Lav's hit points. Okay, 14 or 16 if up armored. Yeah. It should be two shot kill, but Yeah, I got a feeling that sometimes it doesn't go exactly like that. So let's stick the armor up. 16 with... Okay, it should be 2 shots kill, but sometimes I see too many of these things, and well, obviously these things, on 1 HP after taking hits from my tank. That's ridiculous. These should be 2-shot kills, just like the Russian units. BMPs should be 2-shot kill from a tank as well. Right. Okay. Increase for units refunded with... what? Ah, okay, this is very good. Perfect. Obviously, a really easy strategy to do is to spawn in an Iskander, fire all its missiles, and despawn it. That is potentially, you know, a much better way than to resupply them, because not only are you wasting time resupplying, you're also saving points on the income tax. So yeah, welcome change. Fuck support players. This is good. Patriot 2, so this is where the, like I was saying, the US Marine Corps is actually going to be a lot more appealing. I've actually just recently started to be using it a bit more and enjoying it a bit more as well. So Pack 2, the best American AA, is now in the hands of the Marines. Hoorah! So good for you, Marines. It never made sense having 2 Pack 3s in the Striker specialization, so yeah, I'm very glad that they have moved it to Armored. So this little rejig. Yeah, so Special Forces have no Patriot. They never did, and they shouldn't. But like I said, Marine Corps, if you treat them like as a support group for your Special Forces, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Very happy. Yeah, very happy indeed. I'm going to be using the Marine Corps a lot more just because I want the best anti-air in-game. It's another reason why I use the Russian S-300. Let's have a look at it here. In basically all my guards decks, they've got the S-300. And they've all got it in the 150 point setup for many reasons. One of which is the fact that it's better. You get an extra bit of range. So for 50 points, you lose 500 meters of range, which is absolutely significant in the context of this game. It is a huge amount. It's... oh Christ, let's do some maths. Of 1,000, that's 50%, so of 4,000, it's whatever 50 divided by 4 is. So let's just call it 15%. A 15% increase in range on cheaper missiles. You know, you'd be stupid not to. Well, you might say that, oh, but you like having 4 missiles instead, and I completely understand that. By the way, even though these are obviously humongous, and these are not as humongous, they're still pretty massive, by the way. I mean, that is a huge missile. Look at a man. 3 men could fit down this tube, or probably 6 if you stack them. Not that you would want to, unless you're into that. But, you know, yeah, anyway, the thing is that these are just better. And for the price, so 150 versus 200, so you pay 300 points to have 4 of these much better missiles, as opposed to 1 launcher, which can be, again, bear in mind, 1 launcher can be destroyed with 1 cruise missile. You would much rather spread them out, which is what I do. So I'd like, these are just an absolute no-brainer in my opinion. Not enough people use the cheaper S300 Ante version. Right, back to the other balances. Again, so this is Marines. Look at this. Pardon me. The Viper rocket loadout has changed. You can now get APKWS. So like I said, I was using the Marines a lot more with this test battle group. I haven't even given it a name yet. But yeah, I actually like the Vipers. There we go. I would prefer to have these on. And yeah, I would absolutely love to have the Zuni rockets on, because they do a huge amount of damage, or, well, a much bigger, double the amount of damage of the other little rockets. So I absolutely welcome this. This is my super cheap helicopter for backline stuff, because a TOW will obviously happily take out a bit of AA or whatever, and the Zuni rockets are just a bonus now with 1,300 range. Bear that in mind, these are 1,200. The guided ones are 1,400. Okay, fair enough. But these, again, these are for my backline sneaky flanky stuff, which regular viewers of the channel know I love all too well. Yeah, brilliant. Oh, you can get another set. Yeah, I'll take another set for 5 points. Of course I will. Yeah. Yeah, so having these fire is just great. Now the Venom, I've upgraded it to the miniguns because I wanted it to actually stand a chance of shooting down a helicopter. And again, these have been upgraded too. It'll be later down in the notes, but 7.62s, they've removed that weird cluster effect logo, and they've just made them outright more powerful for miniguns. And they've increased the range. So this thing, or two of them at least, because look, they're super cheap, I will absolutely get them to come nice and close to Russian helicopters and try to shoot them down with guns. I know, crazy. Now, they've also added this feature to put these big boy guns on, but no, honestly, miniguns are basically, as the game devs themselves have written, a minigun is worth 2 machine guns, right? So you don't need this guy. I'm more than happy with this guy. So yeah, very happy with that change indeed. They have upped the price slightly for me though. It used to be 85 points, now it's 90, no biggie. Right, let's talk some more. Super Cobra, yep, that's the, yep, cool. Yeah, those are the changes. Now, the Guardian moving to Airborne is interesting because in the Airborne deck, you now, where is it? Here she is. You now get an Apache, Longbow, and a Guardian, which is, yeah, interesting to say the least, because the question now stands, what's the point of a Longbow if you can just buy a Guardian? I'm not really sure. So let's have a look at the prices if for the same sort of setup. The Fire and Forget missiles are the Jagam. Oh yeah, they're the same now. Wait, no they're not. There we go. These Hellfires, these ones are much better, right? So the price difference is 50 points, significant, however not when you get 25% ECM. That is a huge difference. You get an extra 200 range, and these missiles just seem a bit more reliable to me. They're both Fire and Forget, but these ones hit more, in my opinion, or it feels like they do. So the Guardian, is it a little bit obsolete now? It certainly feels like it is. It is cool seeing these side by side, but yeah, I'm not really sure what the point of the longbow, or the use of the longbow is going to be. For super cheap rockets, you've got your Apache, so I guess now you're just going to use the longbow instead of the Apache because it's got more vision, right? For cheap flanky stuff. So yeah, what really is the point of this thing? I don't know. I really don't know. It's interesting that they've done that. I do agree that it does belong here. Of course it does, but maybe this should just be like a sort of upgrade of this to prevent you doing cheap flanks with the longbow instead. Oh, my mistake. There is a slight price difference, but for 15 points, you definitely want the higher optics. Okay. And a fuel tank. Why the hell does it? Wait, whoa. Have I completely missed something? Why a fuel tank? Is that a spelling mistake? Is that like 4 Hellfire missiles and a fuel tank? Right. Okay. But why? Why on earth would you... how bizarre. Why on earth would you need a fuel tank on a... Like, I know in reality, of course you do, but they have no fuel in the game. I don't really know. If anyone's got any ideas, I suppose, just to give you... I really don't get that. I really don't get that. Plus, these Hellfires are not Fire and Forget, are they? No, they're semi-active, so yeah, you don't really want to use them anyway, but okay. Yeah, bizarre. Interesting. Very, very interesting choice. I'll be honest, maybe because 4 sets is too much or whatever, that this is better. I don't really know. I'm not sure at all with that one. Kind of funny though. Right, okay. Very interesting here. So the DAP, which is on the Special Forces, let's have a look at that. Discard my changes. I do like the DAP. I do like using it. The increase in seats isn't potentially that necessary for me because usually I stick in 6-man squads in them anyway. So like either Stingers or RRC or Raws, they're all 6-man squads. You can't even get Rangers in, so not really sure what the point is. I suppose maybe they're trying to put airborne squads in there, which tend to be 8 men. I suppose 2 Flash, but Flash is so expensive. Why would you take 2? Yeah, not really sure what that change is about. But whatever. Cool. Blackhawks 13. Now we obviously know why this change has happened, hasn't it? And including the Silent Hawk, which is kind of interesting because their seating capacity should be identical, like it used to be 12 and 12. But okay, why do we think that is, troops? Well, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Because Delta Force are a 12-man squad, but what's a 13-man squad? Well, you guessed it, troopers. It is. There we go. It's the Marines. 13 men here. That is why they have increased. They've managed to squeeze in an extra man. Not really sure if I get it. You know, the Marines are limited by their transport. The ACVs, however, are decent. Like, I don't really get the issue of having to bring in either a Chinook or a Osprey if you want Marines on the ground quickly. I don't get an issue with that. I don't see why you should have to squeeze them into a Blackhawk, you know. 13 men is heavy. This can lift a lot, but 13 men are gonna absolutely weigh this thing down. Bear in mind, you've got another 4 men in here. When we count the seats, I've never been inside a Blackhawk, but yeah, you're rammed in there like sardines. Most helicopters, you're rammed in like sardines. They're much smaller on the inside than you would think. Even the Chinook, which I have been in the back of, look at that. You see 4 men here? It already looks pretty tight. It is, if you put, you know, 32 people, that is all the seats, shoulder to shoulder. You are squeezed in tight and men sitting on the floor. That is not 32 comfortable seats. They're not spacious. They're like primary school chairs. That's the closest thing I can compare them to for size. So yeah, and of course the Silent Hawk's capacity has been increased, you guessed it, for the Marine Raiders. Again, 12 men is tight. 13 is a stretch, 14 is just absurd. So yeah, but I suppose, yeah, the door gunners, they can argue there's no door gunners on the site on the Silent Hawk, Ghost Hawk, whatever. So yeah, whatever, fine. Venom infantry capacity increased as well. They're basically doing it just so you can fit in those rare squads in them. Pretty much. So wait, Venom. What? Is it Venom the helicopter, right? Okay, it's not this. I thought the Venom was the helicopter. What is wrong with me? Why do I not know what a Venom is? Oh, the Huey. Right. My god, I am blind. The Huey. Right, okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, it's a UH-1Y, so it's not a Huey anymore, but it's basically a Huey. Right, they've increased an extra man in here. I mean, look at this. This is so tight. There is 3 seats there, 2 seats there. That's for 5 men. The other 4, I suppose, 2 on the edge, 2 on the inside. Fair enough. 9 does make sense. I can see that. Right, but probably get 2 men, you know, cuddling each other on here. Now, the Venom, yeah, why have they put that up to 9? Well, again, the obvious answer is, where's my, oh, I deleted it, because I tried to do Special Forces Striker. I got annoyed. That's another feature they've done, by the way. They've made Special Forces Striker. Where was I going with that? Sorry, I completely forgot. Oh, I completely forgot I lost my trail of thought. There was something I was going to say that they've made it a bit better. I can't remember. But anyway, Strikers have 9 troopers in their squad. That's why they've done this. So again, Marines are much more usable with... oh, Oh, what I was going to say is the delete, they should have a delete confirm button. Let me just... Perfect, yeah. Are you sure you want it? Yeah. So you can't just all willy-nilly delete it immediately anymore. So yeah, pack 2 is in here. There we go. The pack 2 has survived the marine armored chop, and marine armored makes more sense now as well. I don't think people are going to use this much more. I just think marines are going to be used more in general. MTV truck capacity, nice, has been increased. MTVR has been increased. Again, this is all great for the Marines and for the airborne as well. Yeah, a lot of buffs for America here, and I think maybe looking at the stats, maybe that's why they've done it, just to make American vehicles that little bit more accommodating and versatile. They've buffed up the price as well, though, to reflect, I guess, the extra 2 men. Okay, fair enough. Right, let's move on. Oh, ISV, that was the engineering one, wasn't it? With 8 men or something like that. I could be wrong, I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on the striker deck. Okay, some more insignificant changes. The only one that's worth talking about here is the fact that the Russian ATGM vehicles are going to be firing slightly, like a second is marginal, isn't it? Marginally slower. Not really concerned about that, because I love the BRDMs. The BRDMs, by the way, are here in the coastal deck. They are absolutely fantastic. These things are great. 70 points for cornets. You just stick a couple of these guys around, let them do their magic. They work brilliantly. Highly recommend them. I've not actually tried them in the Conquerors format, but actually for 55 points, this is an absolute contender. The amount of damage penetration is kind of insignificant because you just want more of these firing. So you know what, there we go, hot fix, more units for a cheaper price. Excited to try this out. Do they fire one at a time? Probably. Not to worry. Right, Morskaya Piechota price increase, yeah, okay, so, BMP nerfing. They've removed a smoke, but they've decreased the jammer price, which again, when you look at this, here we are, this used to be 80 points, because this was 15, it's now 75. I think that's a win for the BMP. 1 smoke is enough. If you need 2 smokes, that's usually because you've sort of not resupplied them in a while, I think, if you run out of smokes. Yeah, these vehicles are class. I prefer these because of the cheaper price to the other ones, which they've nerfed as well. Let's have a look. Here they are. Still 120 points. You are actually better off having it in the 30% ECM turret as opposed to the pocket, but yeah, good to have variety in the deck as well. So 105, 120. The armor is still the same, but what have they done to the armor? I read somewhere earlier. Okay, I forgot. No, the armor, the only difference with the armor is that the American tanks can shoot through it a bit better, so there we go. Not really important. Extra smoke for the Sprut, woohoo, and same for the Sheridan. No one really uses those anyway that much. Now the Flyer JMV, bear in mind this vehicle is made from paper-thin paper and actually plastic coverings for the windows. Why have they put the hit points up? I don't like that. It's got a 30mm cannon, which made it distinct from the Arsov anyway, so you don't really need to make it even better. I don't like that change, but it's tiny, it's tiny. Now the battleship is not very popular. It is hilarious, but it's not popular at all, which is a shame, because let's have a look again. I have deleted it, so we're going to have to look in the armory at the striker deck. Right, battleship. Right, okay. Where's the armor increase? I'm confused. Did it not always used to be 30? Oh, I see. I guess it used to be 10. Fine. Let's keep it on 30. It's an insignificant change, but essentially these things, the best way to use them is to have 2 toes on them. So 2 toes. Do they fire the top down? I barely use these. No, they're direct fire. Not top attack. But they do damage against infantry as well. So a lot of damage against infantry squads. And that is where they sort of excel. A bit like the SPG 9, 1000 meter range. It's mainly good for against infantry. Good fire support against infantry at a good range. Otherwise, yeah, this thing is not used. You can stick, you know, 3 Mark 19s and just do a little thunder run, but the infantry will, you know, 2-shot bazooka this thing and kill it. Pretty fun vehicle to use though, mainly for meme purposes. Now, Hawkeye MWS, a vehicle that I do like, but my biggest problem with it was its lack of smoke. So having these in basically gives you a very cheap, very rapid, smoky boy. So let's have a look. Where is it? Hawkeye. Bang. Smoke rounds. Nice. No extra price. Yeah, good, rapid, mega rapid vehicle. Can't even power drop it. Not that you would want to. But yeah, get these zooming around the battlefield. Fire some smoke and run away. Yeah, works really well for that. There's the Sheridan with its 2 smokes now. Winner-bunga, dude. Winner-bunga. I could actually try the Sheridans because they are just like the M60 but paper thin armor. Yeah, that's where it goes down, isn't it? The armor is way too thin to do the big boy gun runs that I like to do in the cheap M60s. Almost there, guys. Almost there. Not long to go. Right. Some stuff here. Mortars, nobody really uses mortars apart from for smoke. So this is the minigun range, the minigun buff that I was talking about. Essentially, yeah, the cluster was confusing. I thought it meant that somehow it had exploding incendiary ammunition, but no, that's not the case. It just meant that the area effect was something like that, but area of effect. Yeah, no. It's better to just, this is where they've written that a good rule of thumb is that a minigun is 2 machine guns. So yeah, nice. Very happy with this little buff here. Tosses, they're... You know what, this is the thing, tosses aren't the issue. They're very close to the front line. They do deliver a huge amount of firepower, very devastating firepower with the thermobaric shells. But ultimately, this isn't going to make a huge difference, because I'll be honest, most of the time when people have tosses, I think they forget to bring them up to the front line and use them. So the time difference here, 60 seconds, an extra minute, fair play. They should do that for all supporting kind of stuff, you know. Yep, I approve of this buff, and I don't think it happens, it doesn't do too much of an effect. They obviously nerfed it. Sorry, this is a nerf, not a buff. They nerfed it by increasing its price in the last 1.09 update, so they've nerfed it a bit more. Yeah, I do like the toss. I liked it more when it was cheaper and quicker to use, but you know what, not that many people use it anyway. F-15 has got harms on it, which is pretty cool. The EX, let's have a look at that. That's in the Airborne Specialization. There we go. Basically, you can have more harm on it now. Am I right or am I wrong? You could always have harm on it. I could be wrong here. Or do they mean just the Strike Eagle? Okay, whatever. Not really sure. Not really sure at all what the difference is, because these always had harms on them. So yeah, literally, what is the difference? Not sure, but anyway, I'm not going to waste more time on this. Wait, let me read that again. On the outer pylons. Where is it? Ah, right. I forgot to scroll. That's my rookie mistake. Now that is good. 4 harm. And you can have cruise missiles, proper missiles. You can make this a very... Let's see how expensive we can get this. Let's be real. You probably want the cruise missiles if you're going to run this. Harm. Yeah, wow. 575 points. You can even make it 620 points for a jet. But a very powerful jet with 5 cruise missiles. No, okay, come on. Let's do it this way. 4 anti-air missiles. 4 seed and 3 cruise missiles. That is a compelling choice. You can also, if we stick it on this, make it a very, very, very versatile fighter and just remove the cruise missiles completely. Look at that, 12 missiles with 4 seed. Damn, son. This could be a really, really Just, what's the max number of missiles you can put on this thing? Let's have a look, shall we? Jesus Christ, 18 AMRAAMs. Is that not overkill? Maybe not for Captain America, but for most sane people, that's just way too much. But for 460 points, that's a lot of missiles, but they don't fire at the same time, so it's pointless. Right, let's move on. This is one of the changes that I do think are fantastic. So the R-27, not the best missile. AIM-7, not the best missile. They're semi-active, but they can now be guided 2 on the same target and are fired in quicker succession. Brilliant. I will use these more, 100%. There's a lot of decks, in a lot of decks that I have, I try to use different missiles, as many different missiles as possible. Is it in here? Let me just have a look. No, not in here. Oh, it's probably, again, in the deck that I deleted because it was just frustrating. But on the F-15, hello, F-15. There we go, 2 of each missile. I like to have 2 of each as opposed to, 6 of one, because obviously they'll fire at the same time. So these firing quicker and together is a big win, in my opinion. Same for the 27ER, which can be found on a SU... SU what? SU-33, no. Is it an option for here? I cannot remember. SU-27 it could be, which is the Soviet Classic. Oh, they've changed... Why the hell have they done that? That looks really bad. That looks more broken than Broken Arrow is. But there we go, 27ER, so they're the semi-active ones. These are fire and forget. These are fire and forget. Terminal guidance, basically fire and forget. Making this a fantastic fighter for 270 points. One of the best fighters in the game. If you do stick ECM on it, it becomes quite expensive, but very capable nonetheless. But I like to keep it super short and with super good firepower. Again, bear in mind that all of these missiles should fire at the same time. Brilliant. SU-33 ECM price reduction. Okay, that's actually something decent. SU-27 has got 4. Okay, that's fine, that's good. Yeah, just makes all the sort of more antiquated semi-active missiles a lot more appealing. Right, this is a nerf on the F-35. The availability has been dropped to 2, which for me doesn't personally affect me. I used to have only 2 of them in the deck anyway. They are still 320 points decked out, so here we go. Okay, I was experimenting with these instead, but here... There we go. Like I said, I only had 2 of them anyway, so not really a big deal for me. I still think they work really well in the Stormbreaker category. F-22s actually, by the way, do work very well in Stormbreakers too, just a bit more expensive basically, so yeah. But you do get more missiles by default. You get the 2 AMRAAM and 2 Sidewinders by default, which is definitely quite significant. Let's look at more stuff. We're almost done. Almost done. Comanche more easily spotted when firing. Yeah, of course it should be. 2.5 stealth for that helicopter I think is too high anyway. But, oh, that is it! We closely monitor statistics, value your feedback and suggestions, etc. You know what? This is indeed a major update. Not sure why they haven't called it 1.1. That would have been a smarter decision in my opinion. But there you go. A lot of talking from me. Let's see. I am on, well, an hour mark. And my voice is starting to get a bit sore. So this is a quick summary. Like I said, an hour for a quick summary of a very big update, which I do certainly hope will absolutely increase the player base. Let's have a look at how many we've got online. Well, this is more than usual. 8,000 on a 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. Yeah, that's a lot more than usual. And yeah, I'm very happy with this update. It has been long overdue, and yeah, but fair play that they've done a lot more than just fix the main issues. I hope you enjoyed my summary. Please do give me a like, subscribe, and whatever. Join me on Patreon, Discord, whatever you want to do. That'd be really appreciated. I really appreciate you watching, and please do leave comments and your thoughts below in the comment section. I do really want to hear about people's opinions and takes about the balance and price changes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the future, and I hope to see you on the battlefield. Take care. Bye-bye.